Chapter 2, an Andromedan update at the 1996 Global Sciences. Time to walk the talk. Alex, hello everybody. It's really an honor to be here. I thank all of you for being here. I have about an hour and a half, and there are a lot of things I want to share with you. I also have about 25 slides. Some of you have seen them. Most of you have probably not seen them. I have a lot to cover, so if you are interested in how this whole thing started for me, when I was 8 years old, I would suggest that you consult Joe Peterson of Global Sciences, who has videos of other talks that I have done. Also, the Leading Edge Research Group has a lot of information posted on the web. I don't want to burn up 20 minutes rehashing that, because the time is very precious to me. I have very little time. So, what I'd like to do is to just get into the information, and we'll have some questions and answers at the end. All of you have seen this article, Holds Up Newspaper, Evidence of Life on Mars. It's quite a distraction, don't you think? Such crap. They've known about it for a long time, the Egyptians even knew about it. It's just more of the whitewash and more of the lies, denying you your history and trying to take away your heritage. That's really what this whole thing is about. Now, as far as gathering of information is concerned, it's great to read all these books, buy all these videos, build a nice library and be able to talk the talk. Now is the time, however, to walk the talk. That means you have to start talking to your family, you have to start planting seeds, and you have to start telling people. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Hail Bob is coming and life is going to change. This time next year, life is going to be different, okay? So, start thinking about where it is you want to be and what you want to be doing a year from now. It's time. Change is imminent. It could be positive, or it could be negative, depending on our perspective and our consciousness as a race. And, nobody can make us do that. We have to do it. We have to be absolutely clear about what our intent is. What is your intent for doing the things that you are doing? What is your intent for being here at Global Sciences? Be crystal clear about every decision that you make, because you are creating your future right now. Every moment, every decision you make is creating your future, and you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust yourself and your intuition. For men, and I am speaking as a man, it is time to move out of self-imposed loneliness. It is time to open up. It is time to get genuine. It is time to take a risk and show who you are. Okay? The party is over. Because, in terms of the changes that are coming, Morani and Vises have said that men are going to affect it the most. Most women are wide open. They have been. If you don't want them to say, "I told you so," then you had better start working on it, because they will. The Andromedans from the star systems in Italy. Alright. I want to start off by reading some information given to me by Vises. In short, who the Andromedans are is that they come from the region of the Andromeda galaxy and from a star system in that galaxy they call Zenitae. They are a telepathic race, although during the last 30 years I have tried to teach Morani the English language. He has taught me how to read their telepathic communications, which are holographic. It's been an interesting situation. Now, when I write down what Morani says, I write it down exactly as he says it. When you go to the Leading Edge Research Group website and you see that, it isn't that it is mistyped, but it's exactly the way they say it. I have made a promise that is the way I will present it. They are a race with light blue skin. They were on Earth some 62,000 years ago for a period of 62 years. My connection to them is that at that particular time, I was one of them that was here. I volunteered to come back here and be here for this process, raising third density up into fifth density. I've asked to see the fine print on my contract, but they have yet to produce that. So, I would like to start off with this material told to me by Vises on June 5, 1996. We have been in communication with many races regarding militant decision-making. We all agree that conflict in the end serves one purpose, to create fear. This, we know, removes the original intent from creations. We are hopeful that sincerity will gain momentum. Now folks, what is happening here is happening out there. I have said this over and over again. I wish I could just come up to you and say everything is love and light. It would be wonderful, but it would be a lie. We have challenges, and as long as we stick together we will make it. But, we have to stick together. Your neighbors are not the enemy. Your government really isn't the enemy, but they want you to believe so. They want control over you. Consciousness is the scale of illumination. The most necessary action now for all of your Terran races who are aware, is to do what you are capable of to illuminate your degenerated societies. Consciousness is your scale. It always provides balance which does not fail. It speaks to those who listen, and tells them what to do and not to do. To one or all beings who choose to be evolved, the administrators of your governments are responsible for professional order, not your moral codes of order. The key to happiness, Terrans, is in the hands of your own consciousness. We have perceived that you Terrans have arranged your lives not according to yourselves, but according to others. Your disappointments are due to this fact. This kind of conduct of yours is what is limiting your races. Each one of you is a free soul, a free consciousness. No one is the servant or slave of anyone else, though the hidden ones would trick you to believe otherwise. Mutual respect is imperative for a healed planet and race. Help is being extended to you, if you so want it. Because of our genetic lineage to your races, we would like to be with you during your difficult times. Today, you are a planet and a race that destroys itself in ignorance. The goal is to recover the genuine human beings lost deep within yourselves. Always be at one with yourself. The brain, the speed of light in evolution. I have learned a lot. A lot of it I have absolutely no clue what to do with. Some of it I don't understand, but it has been downloaded. According to Moreni, the standard and speed of light is under control of the brain energy beyond one's thought frequency. If your brain waves could control the speed of thought, then you would see time as light years. It's where they began. We will try to make this more comprehensible. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. That is your belief. The speed of light within third density is equal to the thought frequency of the beings on, and your planet. But on your third density, speeds of your thought transcend the dimension you are in or creating. Thought travels beyond a speed of 1 billion light-years and other dimensions. The speed of thought is equated to brain energy when it reaches a certain limit of the speed of light. The cerebral generator in the brain is there to transform the light speed to the light year, and thus condenses the light power to the soul. The density of light that you see is equivalent to the brain and light power. When brain energy begins to transcend the light year, the evolutionary potential here takes all the speeds of light under control. Now here the brain power can create an entire universe and transform itself into many different dimensional levels. All evaluation beyond this present limit are subject to the 11 densities of universal potentials. This we feel has not been reached yet. Control based on threat to elitists of our unlimited spiritual potential. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you are all truly awesome beings. We have inside our DNA the genetics and racial genetic memories of 22 different races. You know, science teaches us that the body is a pool of chemicals evolved from monkeys. It just didn't happen that way. The physical forms that we are in were genetically altered, and then they were tinkered with by many of the different races that have come here. Earth is on the edge of our galaxy and along a trade route. Different races would come and stay 50 years, or maybe several hundred years, which is a weekend to some of those races whose lifespan is very long. And then, they would just take off and they would leave their remnants here. There are governments on the planet that truly want to control, as well as extraterrestrials. Those that are here now and those that are coming want to control. The reason they want to control, the reason there is so much fuss over us, the reason that they have been hiding, tricking, manipulating and thieving the way they have, is because they don't want you to wake up. From the Andromedan perspective, the reason they don't want us to wake up is that as a group consciousness, we come from the 11th density. We wanted to experience a different perspective, and we came down into time and literally cut out third density. We created this. There are more of us that are not on the planet. Now, if this is true that we have come from the 11th density, and if it is true that we have the genetics of 22 different races inside our bodies, it becomes interesting. The Andromedans are convinced that this is absolutely the case and look at us as royalty. Just think about that and everything you have been taught. I don't mean to pick on religions, but frankly they deserve it. They have you believing everything but that which is the truth, which is that in Andromedan terms we are in a sense royalty, and that is why there has been so much manipulation and control. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hide like they do, when you abduct like they do, it's because they are more afraid of you. Time to get it together and collectively kick ass. There are a lot of people talking about a lot of things, and a lot of people are trying to get the information out and spread the word. This planet is our home and we have nowhere else to go. If we don't fight and stand up for it, Nobody will offer us a helping hand. An important point about what this implies is, turn off the television. Tell your kids to turn off the television. It's time for a shift. Mr. Billick has information regarding missing children. I have information regarding missing children. If nothing else should make you angry, it should be that hundreds of thousands of children each year are vanishing from our planet. That's our future and our heritage. Even if we turn everything around, which I believe we can, if we don't stop this and start protecting our children, there won't be anyone on this planet left to leave it to. They have no right to do what they are doing. You are going to stand up and kick ass. It's really that simple. They can't take all of us. Charles Collins was talking here about the court system. You know, there are only 20,000 federal judges in the United States and there are 260 million of us. What's wrong with this picture? Regarding the frequency shift and third density implosion. On March 23, 1994, the Andromedans told me that all the black holes in the known universe begin to emanate a color-sound frequency. It's the first time it has happened in recorded history in our universe, which the Andromedans have been taught is a 21 trillion-year-old hologram. They say that they have been able to chart at least 100 trillion galaxies. Now, think about that. And Carl Sagan thought there is no life out there. It's ludicrous. I want to read something that was given to me on February 2, 1996 by Marini regarding the frequency change. He talks about them as well, and what they are experiencing, because it is affecting everybody, and what they have been able to discover about the change. Now in the system where they live, there are beings from the 5th, 6th and 7th density beings. The 7th density beings are on contact with those on 8th, 9th and 10th densities. Those on 9th and 10th were talking to those on 11th. Who have apparently already moved into the new 12th density. A new holograph has been added to our universe, which is why the frequency is changing, and a lot of people are feeling it. Everything is being pulled up. Now, this is God. The Andromedans refer to this as the isness. They don't know exactly what it is. It just is, and they accept that. It holds everything together. This is an aspect of what is coming out of the black holes, and what the Andromedans have said as a result of their preliminary studies, traveling back and forth through time, and what they are being told down the line through the dimensional levels, is that as of right now, by December 3, 2013, third density as we know it is supposed to implode, and for those of us who have chosen to evolve, it will be a conscious, clear intent to do so. For those who so choose, they will move through 4th and to 5th density. This will be happening gradually over the next few years. Those who choose not to evolve will apparently create another space within which to evolve. They will apparently go through a black hole structure somewhere and create another space to begin the process all over again. It's weird stuff. This is from Marini. All of us, regardless of our form and dimensional growth, live in boundless consciousness. It does appear that all things seem to revolve and evolve in cycles. Now, after the blindness of 5,725 years, you on your Terra are about to regain yourselves. It will be such an unprecedented change that it will be difficult for many to grasp their own potential. It is a turning point on your world which none of your planet's forefathers were privileged to experience. It's no accident that you're here. As the light and sound frequency advances, and the spirit of self increases, sickness and purification will also increase. Many challenges are going to test your strengths, until your race experiences a time of humility. In simply speaking, our members of the council may play a part of onlookers in the scenes of war, but in the scenes of sickness we will have an active role. They are very particular in their words. To play a role in serving your humanity is far superior than to play in the scenes of violence and destruction. In other words, folks, it's up to us. The laws of physicality stress that we, in time, live all of our lives constructively. We, too, are in a dawn, at a very different place of awareness than you are. What we at present perceive regarding the new density, as it advances towards us, and the spirit of self becomes more intense, is that the release of judgment will also increase correspondingly. The purifying frequency of this new density is very strong. Also, according to the laws of physicality, those dressed in physical form that are clouded by withheld love will find it difficult to endure the new frequency. Only those sufficiently cleared may service the remainder of the journey into 5th density. Some members of my own race may be at difficulty at this time. All must endeavor to be prepared spiritually and physically, If we are all to pass through the scales of frequency into the next beginning with comparative ease, your world religions will refer to this as a judgment, which is not altogether true. It is, in fact, a clearing of old thought creation forms. It is a starting over, not a judgment. Your planet is also on stage. Those of you who choose to endure are enacting an original performance. The conflict between polarities is developing in a very complicated manner. There are more negatively charged personalities than positive ones at this moment on your planet. It is not creeds or belief systems that will heal your race, but consciousness and love. Creeds are doctrines and precepts. They cannot serve your humanity. Since your ancient times, nearly all religions have had their creeds. Some of them are well considered and elaborate. We ask you, have they succeeded in perfecting your world? Your holy book is a code of morals and standards to live by. Religions should teach the miracle of the universe, which cannot be explained by mere logic. We perceive that for your terrain religions to be valid, they should teach to all the tangible use of spirit and self, and the more that miracles are in evidence, the more valid it should be considered. It should not be based on past history or ancient creeds, but only in the present and its ability to heal lives and foster the spreading of wisdom and common sense. Ladies and gentlemen, these are extraterrestrial coming light years to share this with us, stuff that we should already know. You know, they truly love us, and they have a very difficult time with why we want to kill ourselves. It's pretty amazing. They have asked me questions that in trying to answer them I get so embarrassed. The very first time I was taken to a mothership, I was nervous and scared. I walked on board, and on these ships there are many different levels. The ships are spherical and 900 miles in diameter. On each level there are park areas. Because they are very astute in holographic technology, you think you are on Earth. There are trees and sunshine, and it is all created holographically. It's all real. When I walked in, a group of children literally moved away from me. I got very hurt, and Moreni picked up on my emotions. He said, "It isn't you. We have been teaching them about your rays. Are you getting it? And they are still sticking around. It blows my mind." In the final analysis, all we have is each other. So, we need to make some shifts. It's time to walk the talk. You know, take all the information you've gathered and do something with it. We're running out of time, and you can't and shouldn't wait until they're here, because everyone will be in fear. We need to prepare people. That's our responsibility. Whether you like them or not, this is our race. The bottom line is that all we have is each other. The banks and government could collapse tomorrow, and what are you left with? Each other. If we can't depend on each other, and trust each other, if we will not make a leap of faith in each other, ladies and gentlemen, we're screwed. It's simple. So, we have to make a decision, each one of you individually. This is where it comes down to intent. The Andromedans define our future. I asked Visace once to give me a definition of our future. I asked a lot of questions, and sometimes I don't get answers, simply because he looks at me, you know, and says, "It's your experience." So, I asked him for a definition. He gave me a definition of our future: responsible freedom of self-determination, becoming truly self-confident and free, to unconditionally be responsible for oneself, without being coerced to accept some higher authority. Now, that says a lot. I will tell you what I get out of this. No matter how pretty their motherships are, no matter how they may look physically, they are our equals. They are not better than us. You have the same potentials. Corporate and government creation of the current situation and planetary betrayal. In fact, if the world governments and the secret societies had not withheld all of the technology that has been developed, we would already be out there talking to them. We have been robbed of that. Bottom line. We have been betrayed. We would already be out there and talking to them. Instead, we have an environmental crisis on our hands. You want to know why? Because more than 35 years ago we could have had alternative free energy technology, but they hid it and didn't allow it. So, it's been more petroleum use, more carbon dioxide emissions, etc. Even Tesla invented free energy devices in the 1930s, and it was withheld. Now, they want to punish you for doing it. It's a brilliant scheme. If we let them get away with it. Solar System and Slide Program Commentary. I want to share this with you. The Moon is an artificial satellite brought here from Ursa Minor. It's hollow and operational, and it can pull out of here any time. Human beings from Earth have been there for at least 45 years. It started with the Germans, But primarily it was the Americans and the Russians. The Germans moved on to Mars. That's a whole other story. I want you to know this. Mars is being terraformed. We are told that it is 4,200 miles in diameter. Moreni says that is an absolute lie, that it is 11,421 miles in diameter, and that our people know about this. We are told that it has a very feeble atmosphere, and yet in 1979 NASA admitted to seeing clouds at 72,000 feet. There's a problem with the theory they are telling us. I want to show you the pictures. I've tried to pull out things that were really easy to see. Where these photos came from was the Carlsbad Library in San Diego. I was just cruising along, having a telepathic chat with Moreni, and he said, "Let's go to the library." I said, "All right." He said, "Go to the second floor, aisle 7, find the NASA Book of Lunar Orbiter 4 photographs, page 27. So, I did that, and checked it out. This book covers pictures taken from August 1966 to August 1967. I got home, got my magnifying loupe out, and he showed me everything, all these structures. Now, here is an extraterrestrial race that can tell you what information is in what book, on what page, in the Carlsbad Library, to find proof that there are structures on the Moon, Mercury, Venus and Mars. I want to share this with you. It's there. Everything we've been told about the Moon has been a lie, and this is reality. We are far bigger than we have been led to believe. It means really stretching yourself, but there is nothing left to do. We've played their game to the hilt, and look at where we are. We are on the brink of losing our sovereignty, our freedom, and facing possible enslavement of the planet. I don't know about you, but I'm not playing that game anymore. I refuse. An initial protocol for extraterrestrial contact. Now, some of you in this room may be having contact, and some of you will be having contact. When the extraterrestrials get here, sometime next year, 1997, or the year after, when they physically land and they start showing themselves, it is imperative that you approach them, regardless of who they are or what they look like, as an equal, because you are a spiritual being first, and a physical being secondly. And then, you stand and you acknowledge them, looking at them directly, whether you are scared or not, and you bow without taking your eyes off them, and you declare to them, "It is the manner and custom when entering my space that permission be asked." No matter how many times you say it, you must mean it. You are declaring your sovereignty. You are declaring the fact that you are who you are, and that you've got every right to be here, right now, at that moment. Because, if you don't declare your space, some species will take it from you. It's that simple. Moreni tells me that if you do this, and you mean it, they will leave you alone. Those of you who are working with people that are being abducted, please teach them this. Now, after having said this, if they ask for permission, you can say yes or no. All right. If we could turn on the projector now. Note, this video is available from letters from Andromeda, called Moon and Mars. Slide 1 of the Moon. Alright folks, the Moon, our closest neighbor. They have been watching us for a long time up there. Our astronauts did go and they do know a lot, but they took an oath of office and they know if they say anything that they are dead men, because the guys in control play for keeps. Armstrong has already tried in so many ways to say something. Some of the other astronauts have already said that something was seen during the Gemini missions. Like Al Bielek said this afternoon, extraterrestrials are in control of Earth right now. We just think it's Washington, D.C. Things are as bad as they are, and probably worse than you think, because ETs are running things. Slide 2 of the Moon, artist's impression of domed city within a crater. This is what Richard Hoagland has been trying to show. This is an artist's rendition of the dome structures. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the Bible it talks about the Edens. This is an Eden, an enclosed biosphere. There have been many wars on our planets. The Edens that were built by the Nibiru, the Pleiadians, the Lyrans, all the different races whose physiology is different, they created enclosed Edens. There are more of them on the other planets than there are on the Moon, because those on the Moon were nuked. On Earth, we have had at least 3 nuclear wars in the last 450,000 years. The last one was 11,913 before Christ. During the last 5,600 years of recorded human history, there have been 15,400 wars on Earth. I think we have it down pat. Let's try another game. Slide 3 of Moon, showing structure in crater. This is on the far side of the Moon, along the equator. Look at this photograph. See the domes in this crater? They were not supposed to be there, are they? Slide 4 of the moon showing crater. I want you to look at this crater. Look at these illuminated objects in the crater and this object here. I want you to pay close attention to this area. Look at this. A structure here. A bridge here. All lit up. How is it that a crater, which is supposed to be created by a meteorite impact, has a flat-topped structure in the center? The moon is full of these. I will tell you why. Because these are old bases that were destroyed in a war. I asked Moreni who destroyed these, and he told me it was during a war between the Pleiadians and the Orion group. Who won? Audience question: is there any air on the moon? Alex: yes, there is. The far side has vegetation, lakes. It is everything we've been told it isn't. Slide 5 of the far side of the moon. I want you to look very carefully at this crater right here. I have been told that this is a mining crater. I want you to look at the way this bridge spans the crater. This bridge is 21 miles long. You will see this same structure on Venus. What I was told is that craft would land on top of this structure, lower some kind of device, and literally pull the minerals right out of the ground. Slide 6 of the far side of the moon. Here's another crater. For something supposedly created by a meteor, it's pretty flat. What I really wanted to show you is this, a dome that is very much intact. This is what Richard Hoagland has been looking for, and it's on the far side of the moon. It's the far side where all the good stuff is. Slide 7 of the far side of the moon. In this crater I want you to look at this structure here. See these structures that look like hangars? I am told that this base is German. The Nazis have been here for a long time. There is machinery right here. Look at the octagonal crater to the north. Slide 8 of the far side of the moon. I want you to focus on this area right here. See these structures? Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the New World Order is on the moon. This complex has 35,000 human beings from Earth in it, right now. These are living compounds. The Andromedans are very clear about this, because they want you to wake up. Slide 9 of the far side of the moon. Here's a square crater. I asked Moreni how many square meteors that he's seen, and he said he's never seen one. Slide 10 of the far side of the moon. Here's another crater with another structure inside that is all lit up. They were not supposed to be there. Slide 11 of the far side of the moon. Look at this area right here. See how it is terraced? See this large structure? This is a monument, folks. A monument. It is 7 miles high. Are you going to tell me our astronauts missed this? The monument, since the moon came from Ursa Minor, is Orion in origin. Now, our moon used to share an orbit with Phobos. Both of them are artificial satellites. Slide 12 of the far side of the moon. Look in this crater. Now, this crater is 14 miles long. Right in the middle of the crater we see a ship parked there that is at least 4 miles in length. That's not supposed to be there. Slide 13. General picture of Mars. Ladies and gentlemen, if the truth ever comes out, you will discover that Mars has had a very similar history to Earth. The human physical form was first created on Mars and brought to Earth. Extraterrestrials created and manipulated our physical form. They didn't create your soul. You did, as a part of the Creator, by your intent. The Creator gave you the right to go off and experience on your own. You were not cast out of heaven. Nobody buys that. The Andromedans find it hard to believe that anyone buys that. They ask me about this and I get really embarrassed because I have no comeback on it. I just shrug my shoulders. Slide 14. Craters on Mars. This is the southern hemisphere, Elysium Mons. Look at these clouds floating by in the atmosphere. They are clearly visible in a lot of Martian photographs. What I want you to focus on is this area right here, a partial face, and this area. Now, I have been told that the face on Mars is a tomb, and who we know as the Sumerian Enki, who the Egyptians knew as Te, is in that tomb. He was murdered by his brother Enlil. Slide 15, Mars. This here is partial face, also a tomb, which is mostly destroyed, and here adjacent to it are 3 pyramids. There are 7 sets of pyramids on Mars. There are also dinosaur bones and fossils, just like on Earth. Approximately 450,000 years ago when Earth was involved in a nuclear war, those from Nibiru, 12th planet folks, had colonies on Mars, and they got into a war with the Orion group, who had apparently entered the solar system wanting the women from Earth, because of the genetics. The Nibiru protected the planet. Mars was nuked and moved out of the orbit it had at that time. In fact, Earth has been moved out of its original orbit. Earth used to be nothing but ice and was moved closer to the sun and then moved again a little farther away. All of that has to do something with how we lost one day in the year. In the Sumerian texts, it tells of how Thoth tricked Ra into adding one more day to the year. What they did was that they moved the orbit of the planet. Folks, they have this kind of technology. Venus used to be one of the moons of Uranus. Mercury used to be one of the moons of Saturn. They have kind of rearranged things. Some of you will remember this stuff as your genetic memory comes through with this frequency change. It will be right there. There are a lot of kids who have this memory inside of them today already. They just don't express it, because they think everyone will think they're crazy. They come in with a tremendous amount of genetic memory, and they are opening up. There are children being born over the last 3 years that are being born with 3 strands of DNA instead of 2. Slide 16, Venus. According to what we are told, Venus is over 1000 degrees with sulfuric acid in the atmosphere. Now, anyone who has ever worked with chemicals knows that if you heat sulfuric acid up, that whatever it comes into contact with turns eventually to mush. Well, Venus isn't mush at all. Look at these structures right here. They are the same mining bridges we saw on the moon. Venus was mined, when it was one of the moons of Uranus, for borax, which is used as an electrically conductive substance. Slide 17, Mercury. Look very carefully at this structure here. See the shadow it's casting and how it comes up off the ground. I am told that this is a piece of abandoned mining equipment. Now, this crater over here is 41 miles in diameter. Now, compare that crater to this piece of machinery, which is slightly longer than the crater is wide. We were talking big at. Slide 18, Mercury. See this structure right here? It's also on Mercury. It's also a piece of mining equipment that was left behind. Folks, we didn't leave it there. It's not our stuff. The truth is out there. What you have to do is dedicate yourself to creating the space to accept the truth when you hear it. Once you have accepted the truth, you are going to have to be it, acknowledge it and stand in it. When all is said and done, the only thing left standing is going to be the truth, because the truth doesn't need to be supported by lies. End of slide presentation. Andromedan versus Earth education systems, Back to the Future. Now, the Andromedan people teach their children everything. The oldest and the wisest are the teachers, and hold nothing back from their children. Those with the most experience teach others what they know. This is called by them the law of consistency. They know that their children are their legacy. They don't dumb them down like the educational system here does. They would never ever think to do that, because they are proud of their lineage and their heritage. They know that this is who they are, and their young people are who they are. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have children, you owe it to them to teach them what you know, and don't let anyone else babysit. Don't let the television babysit, because it is teaching them what to think, not how to think. Television teaches them how to spit out numbers like a computer, and it isn't fair. They aren't being prepared for what's coming. They're your children, your responsibility and your future. There are people waiting for Christ to come. Suppose he doesn't come? Suppose he changes his mind. Then what? Oops. Probable events that might be happening in the next few years. Let me talk about probable events that might be happening in the next few years. These events are probable. They started talking about these things in 1993. Some of them have already started to happen. I am going to continue to go over it, because it is entirely up to you, and all of us, to decide what kind of a future we want. These items are seen by the Andromedans in our future, based on our present consciousness. Between 1996 and the end of 1997, there's a very strong possibility that 1/3 of Japan is going to sink below the ocean surface in a very violent earthquake. Now a few weeks ago, California was experiencing 20-foot waves. The media said it was because of a tropical storm off the coast of Tahiti. The Japanese, who were experiencing the same thing, were told it was because of all the volcanic activity on the ocean floor. There is a huge difference in those two stories. Between June and October of 2003, there's a strong probability we will wake up one morning and the moon will no longer be in orbit. The reason for this is that there are regressive energies on the moon. They just might have to pay back some karma. Between 2003 and 2007, the benevolent races are supposedly going to be all around us. We will see them, but they will not interfere. The Andromedan Council, a group of representatives from 143 planetary systems, made a declaration that by August 12, 2003 all extraterrestrial presence, both good and bad, off our planet. They want to see how we interact with each other when we are not being manipulated. It's a test, and they have every intention on carrying it out. It's going to be interesting. Between 2004 and 2007, all the DNA coding which involves all the racial memory from the 22 races will begin to unlock. By 2007, everyone will have full memory of who they are, who they were, and where they come from. A lot of this is to do with the implosion of third density pulling us up into higher densities. Between 2007 and 2012, we are supposed to see the birth of a brand new galaxy in the area of the sky known as Vega, just before we move into fifth density. Now, they time travel so they already know it's there. Between 2007 and 2009, if it is allowed to happen naturally, we are supposed to have a 17-degree pole shift. The area of Saudi Arabia is supposed to become the new North Pole, so we have no choice but to go to free energy. North America is supposed to end up on the equator. By the year 2003, you are going to hear more reports about ghosts, because what is happening is that the new frequency is raising the vibration of the planet, and third and fourth density will come closer and closer together as third density starts to implode. This means that the molecules in our bodies are going to speed up, because the body is not red matter, and you are going to start to see on more of a spirit level. We are going to have to become more responsible in the exercise of our free will as the earth changes start. People living along the coastal areas are going to have a problem, as the oceans could rise as much as 200 feet by the year 2008. Around 2011, our sun will undergo a 180-degree pole shift. During the next 7 years, between 1996 and 2004, the major cities in the United States will be under quarantine because of the spread of tuberculosis. The average life expectancy of men in the inner cities will be 43 years of age, and for women 55. You are going to see the end of welfare, free medical and county services, because everybody will be bankrupt. Many people will be moving to communities outside the cities, growing food and having their own private police forces. On January 24, 1996, the Journal of the American Medical Association reported that the transmission of terabytes among the urban homeless is remarkably high, especially because they found no primary tuberculosis outbreak at all. The largest area that has been infected so far are New York and Los Angeles. They are not telling you anything about this in the media. So, we have a lot of work to do. The Andromedan perspective on the concept of time. I want to share with you the Andromedan perspective on time. Here is an idea that we feel could reorganize all knowledge on your Earth. I will endeavor to explain, using the language of common sense. We use or employ 9 mutually interchangeable coordinates. 6 of space and 3 of time. In other words, we use time as if it were a dimension of space. Time, in your concept, is the single fourth dimension, and space in your perception is imperfectly sensed and apprehended by consciousness successively, and it creates a temporal illusion. As such, you concern yourselves with ideas and magnitudes, to which ordinary logic no longer applies. We feel that our concepts contain a pathway, a bridge to the very poles of thought. To some, it will rob them of their dearest and most sacred illusions, and will cut the ground from beneath their very feet. It will be, we hope, a destroyer of complacency. We know there are different grades of consciousness observable in nature. You will see that as consciousness changes and develops, the wisdom of space changes and develops also. We feel that the dimensionality of your world depends on the development of your consciousness. With your race having reached the 4th stage of development, it now has a clear sense of 3-dimensional space. We understand space to be a multi-dimensional mirror of consciousness, and the concepts of time and motion as illusions. What does this mean to you of your world? What appears to be time and motion are in reality only the movement of consciousness upon a higher space or dimension. Now, that's something to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, in our future the time we are living in now is going to be known as the end of the innocence. We must dedicate ourselves to finding out what the truth is, whatever it is. I don't know if the Andromedans are absolutely right. I have no way. I have been asked to share with you their perspectives, and I do. Everybody is a piece of the puzzle and is a piece of the puzzle. We have some major challenges to face, especially here in America. The reason they want to bring down America is simply because of consciousness. We hold the consciousness of sovereignty and self-rule. They want to take care of that. They don't want to hear, and we are going to have to stick together. As long as we stick together, we can pull this off. We can turn things around. Because, folks, there are no other free nations in the world, and there is no other place to go. This is where it's at. There are 3 things I want you to know. The first is that you are loved. The second is that you are royalty, and the third is please don't give up on each other. We have all been screwed, lied to and betrayed, and we have to stick together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.